just in case you haven't met me, if you've done any of our competitions in any of the last 2 years, I've probably met you visually, online. I've seen all of your bios. I get really, really excited. And for me, this process begins 3 or 4 months before the actual conference begins, as I get all of your submissions from all around the world. This particular round was 290 applications. You guys came from 28 countries, 27 different states. We came as far as Jordan. We had an applicant from Ghana. We had applications from all over. Colombia, we had applications from Chile, we had applications from Australia, Reykjavik. We were all over the world and all over the states. We're very excited about this. It's become a real international movement to become female entrepreneurs, and we are so proud of you. So of these 29 applicants, 42% of which were from California, we actually chose 10 finalists. 30 different VC firms were involved in this process that took us down to the final 10. This morning, we'll have the first 5 pitches from those 10, and then in the afternoon, we'll have the 5 pitches in the second break. So it'll be very exciting for us to see what you guys choose. And you'll see on stage, we'll have 5 judges in each bracket. They will select the overall winner, but you will select the People's Choice Award. So anytime during the conference until 5 p.m., if you tweet, "I vote for a company name" with the hashtag W2Conf, I will take that as a vote for your People's Choice. Whoever gets the most votes, they're going to win $3,000 at Turnstone. So it's very exciting. You're involved, be heard. As Kara said earlier, ask questions, be heard all day today. That's what we want you to do. So in the interest of being heard, I'm going to introduce our amazing judging panel. Our amazing judging panel includes a lot of really incredible people. One is Andrea Zurek. She is the founding partner of XG Ventures. Andrea. I also want to introduce Charles Hudson. Charles is a partner at SoftTech VC. I know their chairs are. They're going to have to move their own tables out of the way. Next, I have Jenny Fielding. Jenny Fielding is the head of digital ventures at BBC Worldwide. Jenny. We also have with us Joy Marcus all the way from New York. She is a partner at DFJ Gotham Ventures. And our final judge in this panel this morning is Nikhil Kalghatgi. And I keep saying it like it's Italian, but it's not. He's from SoftBank Capital. He's a principal there. And he also joins us from New York City. And with that, I'm going to call on stage our very first company, our very first set of finalists here. Sorry, Kara will do that.
Okay. All right, so we're going to have a bunch of startups, be very supportive, and yet judge them. You know, I hate when people say we don't judge, and I don't judge. I judge all the time, all day long. Okay, so we're going to start with the first one. We have this great panel. They're going to listen very attentively and then make comments, hopefully very smart ones. And then, let me get the first one up, sorry. I wasn't at the right page. So let's begin with the first pitch, and then they'll make comments and ask questions of them, and then we'll move on to the next one. So it's going to be very quick. So it's Fiesta, I think. It's Fiesta, right? Correct? It was founded by, I'm going to misdo this, Nurul Yahya in New York. Fiesta is a marketplace for event services working to eliminate the stresses of finding, booking, and managing vendors for your event. She wanted to find a way for vendors to know when event organizers were planning stage. Both sides would benefit greatly. There we go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nurul. Happy Valentine's Day. Today's event has been an incredible experience for our team. I'm sure all of you here can imagine how time-consuming it must have been to put this together. Thanks, Woman 2.0. I totally understand the stresses of planning an event. I used to work in the wedding industry and saw firsthand how brides were spending so much time searching for their DJs, photographers, caterers. I even had a bride that found her string quartet in the New York City subway. Luckily, they were Juilliard students. But I thought to myself, shouldn't there be an easier way to connect these two groups of people together? So the more I spoke with people, the more apparent it became how insanely fragmented and untapped the $200 billion event industry is. So we created Fiesta, a simple tool that lets you easily find, manage, and book everything that you need for your event. Let me give you an example. Two of our clients, Lean Startup Machine and Startup Weekend, plan weekend workshops and hackathons all over the world. In a pre-Fiesta world, in order to get meals coordinated for the entire weekend, they would have to first search for and call vendors to get quotes. And now wait. Next, vendor sends back quotes. Wait some more. Third, manage all the quotes in a spreadsheet and continue to wait. Do you see a pattern here? We're only on step 3. Our platform cuts the time that you would have spent from hours to a matter of minutes, while enabling local businesses to easily find more work. And did you know that 80% of the transactions involved with events are not even happening online? That means people are still using phones and fax machines. Fiesta is here to bring the event industry into the 21st century. So let's all plan an event together on Fiesta. Once you list out everything that you need for your event, simply on our dashboard, vendors start bidding to work at your event. So let's take a look at the offers you got for desserts. Sarah from S'mores Bakery is giving you a great deal. We can check out her profile to learn more. Her s'mores looks amazing, and so does her reviews. Let's book her. Now on the other side, Sarah from S'mores Bakery can manage all the events that she's been booked to on her dashboard. And Sarah can be proactive and search for other events that might want desserts. Isn't this awesome? So, what's powering our marketplace? Passionate vendors just like Sarah. By 2020, 50% of the workforce will be made up of freelancers, which means we will see more and more 9-to-5ers as part-time DJs, photographers, and bakers on the sites. By enabling people to make money from what they're passionate about, Fiesta is empowering the local businesses, supporting the foundation of our economy. So what have we done to date? We bootstrapped our way and launched our beta at the end of August 2012. Since then, we have completed over 60 events, transacted over $80,000, and have had 7,000 meals catered through our platform. And we have been making revenue since day one. So imagine what we can actually do when we have funding to market and grow Fiesta. Now, let me tell you about my awesome teammates. We have all known each other for over 5 years, and we have all each worked on projects that have impacted millions of people. Stefanos and I are on the business side. Marvin is our technical co-founder, and Dan is our award-winning design lead. So for all of you audience here, we invite you to check out fiesta.com to experience the new way of event planning. And for the investors, we are raising $750,000 in order to complete our product development and grow our marketplace. Once again, I'm Nurul, and we are Fiesta with an H. Thank you.
Okay, guys.
Great.
Questions?
So this is Nikhil from SoftBank. So I'm probably one of the few judges up here that's actually been a part of the beta and tried it out as a customer. And everyone talked about marketplaces and how hard they are to build on both sides, cold start, all that kinds of stuff. But I tried it once, and I think the important part there is that it was only once. And part of that was because in a marketplace, you got to make sure the transaction actually happens to a satisfactory degree. Uber requires you to put in stars at the end of it. That's just one of 1,000 things they do to ensure they actually did the activity they suggested they were going to do. How do you, when I did it, the first person I hired was a coat check person for a party, and they were not able to show up. We scrambled at the last minute. How do you ensure that someone actually shows up, does the job, and is going to do it with some level of confidence from the customer's perspective?
So when we were working with you, we didn't have our vendors profile built out yet, so that's what we were building out next, where people can upload all their pictures and tell everyone more information about themselves, and we are starting to collect reviews and ratings. And also we have an escrow payment system that protects both sides. So once you do decide that you want that code check person, you just swipe your credit card and we hold the money in escrow. And once they actually completed their job, we release the money to them. So if someone does cancel at the last minute, you can still get your money back, or you can look at other offers that you got and perhaps find a plan B.
Except you do need a code check person. I mean, it's a reputation thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit more about the vendors, how you get them, and the issue of the empty room? So if I come and I want to do an event, and maybe I can find the code check person, but I can't find the caterer because you don't have a vendor that is free. How does that all work?
So far, whenever we have been doing through direct sales, so we have been contacting the vendors and telling them and interviewing them, and most of the caterers, once we pick the best caterers, they can do a few events, so that has worked out well.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty easy to find the vendors, right? Like, they're not doing anything out of the ordinary from what they do normally. They send you Word documents via email for their proposals. So that's pretty much like, that's way easier side of the marketplace to get. And it is right now, we've just been doing door-to-door. So if you post something that we normally don't have, like a chocolate fountain or something, then we scramble and find that in the back end. So there's a lot of like manual automation that's happening at this point. But as we continue to grow the marketplace, those gaps should be filled. Yeah,
and we've been growing organically and been getting requests, and we make sure we interview everyone.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So great job. I liked the style of the presentation. You really talked about the problem and then the solution. I mean, it's going to be tricky because I think you're building a marketplace, so it's a chicken and egg problem. You're going to have to get the suppliers or the vendors at the same time that you're building your customer base. But my background is sales, so my question is around your revenue model. Okay. So can you talk a little bit about the revenue model, and/or will you eventually need an inside sales staff?
Okay. So right now, the way we make money is that we take 10% from the vendor side, and that's our first step towards monetization. And we also plan on having premium services next.
Right, so for the vendor profiles, right, that we build out, just like Yelp has promoted accounts, we'll be doing the same thing for our vendors to have them come up in search results higher. And then the same thing on the planning side. So as I guess the event gets higher and higher in the budget, there's a lot more hands-off that the person planning wants to have, so we can implement like a VIP or concierge service to take over more of the event planning.
Right. I actually have a kind of follow-on question. So what, on the other side of the marketplace, we talked a little bit about the vendor side, which I think is going to be easier.
Yep.
The harder side, I think, is the customer side.
Exactly.
Event planning side. Totally. What's your strategy there? Are you going after event planners? Are you going after broad consumer base? What do you think about that?
So currently we're focusing on the corporate side, so the event organizers and the event assistants that throw events regularly. So they would, yeah.
Yeah, so like office managers and community managers in offices that plan things regularly inside the office as our first go-to, because on the corporate side, their budgets are way higher and the decision making is a lot faster. So on the consumer side, yes, like initially we did like a Google ad test, and we got a lot of moms responding and posting things, but they're planning things out like 6 months in advance because moms are very good at planning. But in our beta, we don't have time to be waiting for those transactions to hit, so we started going after more the corporate side. So we're working with like Startup Weekend and Lean Startup Machine to plan out a lot of their hackathon weekends.
And we work with a lot of venues that throw events 4 to 5 times a day. So once someone creates an event, the next step is to get the different things that they need, from the food, the servers, to the code check. So then they would just post what they want, and then they get their vendors really easily.
Yeah. And as like a second, sorry.
Good, quick, very quick.
Okay, and then as like the second step after that is to partner with other event companies in the same ecosystem, so companies like Evite or Eventbrite or Meetup that already have people posting events, right? If they're posting events to promote their event, they're probably also still planning in the planning stages to get everything else they need for their event.
Okay, great, thank you. Fiesta.
Thanks.
The next startup is Angaza, removing the upfront cost barrier of room-scale solar energy systems sold in under-electrified emerging markets. Angaza Design CEO Leslie Silverthorne Marancola, based here in Palo Alto, created metered solar energy for the off-grid developing world, where most consumers cannot afford to purchase a solar home system at upfront retail price. Leslie.
Thank you. When you think of Africa, do you think of an image like this? Have you been bombarded with messages like this about how to affect change overseas in Africa? Let me shatter that mindset for you once and for all. This is the Africa I know and work in. Africa is not a sob story of American media. It's a place where you can get better cell phone reception in the middle of nowhere than you can in downtown San Francisco. It's a place where you can send and receive money using what we call a dumb phone. And Africa's existing challenges, like energy access, are areas ripe for innovation and profitable business models. My name is Leslie Marancola, and I'm the founder and CEO of Angaza Design, and we're taking advantage of these opportunities. Right now, 130 million people in East Africa, our initial target market, live without access to electricity. This means that they use kerosene for light. 65% of them have mobile phones, but have very limited ways to charge them. Solar is obviously a great, viable solution in Africa for distributed energy, but the problem is that families and small businesses can't afford a large payment at one time to be able to purchase a solar home system outright. You can see here that families, a typical East African family, is paying over $100 a year just for kerosene fuel and mobile phone charges. These are high prices they're paying for inferior energy. But the problem is they're not paying that $100 at one time. They're paying it in small distributed chunks of money, about $2 a week. Angaza is tearing down the upfront price barrier of solar with an end-user financing technology that we've developed. We call it pay-as-you-go solar. It enables families to run LED lights, charge mobile phones, and power radios. We design, manufacture, and distribute these solar home systems through distribution partners in East Africa. And we make money from wholesale distributor payments when they purchase the product from us, as well as recurring transactions as customers actually purchase the energy from their solar units. And we're tapping into a $17 billion annual African fuel-based lighting market. So let me tell you a bit about how this process works. Customers initially purchase a solar home system for a low down payment of $10 from the distribution partner. They acquire the solar panel, the solar light, and cell phone charging tips. After that, in order to actually make the solar product function, they have to add money to the unit to enable it for energy output. And remember how I talked about sending and receiving money over those dumb phones? All they have to do is send a payment to Angaza's cloud-based platform. We recognize that payment has come in, and we activate their unit for a proportional amount of energy output. So it's exactly like a prepaid cell phone operates in these markets. You buy the physical asset, but in order to make the asset function, you purchase airtime or energy. The unit has an internal meter inside of it, and once the prepaid amount of energy has been consumed, it shuts off until the next payment has been received. Our technology is very low cost to embed because essentially we're just embedding a speaker and a microphone into the unit. So what we're doing is we're transmitting data via discrete audible tones through an open voice channel on the customer's cell phone. You can see here in this picture a customer topping up her unit with more energy by just holding her cell phone next to the unit. A microphone within the unit hears tones through her cell phone. It decodes those tones and unlocks the unit. It also has a speaker, and it's tracking exact usage and diagnostic data in that unit and sending it back over that customer's cell phone to our backend. We're at a revenue-generating stage with a network of distribution partners throughout East Africa, manufacturing and supply chain partners in China, and active users. we've sold already 1,500 pay-as-you-go units in these markets and have realized $66,000 in upfront product revenue. This is not including the additional profits we realize over time as customers purchase energy from the units to make them function. Our team is headquartered here in Silicon Valley. It is women-dominated, I'm happy to say. We also have a project manager located in Nairobi, Kenya. So I'm a Stanford-trained product designer and mechanical engineer. I've worked on a lot of different consumer electronics devices as well as medical products, including work on the first 3 generations of the Amazon Kindle. Brian Silverthorne, our CTO, has a background in signal processing, which is integral to our tone-based data transfer technology. And he has a PhD from UT Austin in computer science. Victoria Arch, our director of strategy, has a background in renewable energy and earth systems, and has published research from international fieldwork during her PhD at UCLA. Fiona Mati is our East African product manager in Nairobi, Kenya, and she's had a history of successfully introducing new products to the East African market, working through the logistical, operational, and regulatory challenges on the ground there. We're currently raising $500,000 to fuel this momentum, in addition to $500,000 we've closed to date. This will allow us to field the local director in Kenya to expand the distribution network. It will also allow us to license that hardware and firmware that I talked about, the speaker, the microphone, the microcontroller, to actually other solar suppliers to embed into their products at the low cost of only $2. We'll then be acting more like a payment platform. As these licensing partners sell more products, there's recurring transactions as customers add more energy, and that all comes through our payment platform. We're building up an extensive customer database of exact usage and diagnostic data and complete payment profiles. We're giving customers who have never had any banking history credit history, so we can then lend money for a larger solar home system down the line. So please join Angaza in changing the way solar energy is financed in markets like Africa that are teeming with opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, super interesting companies. Panel?
I wanted to say that was I thought a really great presentation. Super clear articulation of the market opportunity and business model. Really well done. Question I have is, since you've got physical hardware with your partners in your business, who's responsible for customer service, billing, replacing units when they fail, all of that?
We pass off that hard job to our distribution partners. So really our business model is B2B. We sell the product to the partners, the distribution partners. They actually, I mentioned the wholesale payment up front. We get paid for the cost of goods for that hardware, and they deal with the marketing to the end customer, customer support, all of that good stuff.
How do the local partners, politicians, governments, et cetera, play a role in regards to either increasing or decreasing friction in your business?
Actually, there's a lot of activity in East Africa that's increasing, not decreasing friction, increasing opportunity. I talked a little bit about the infrastructure in East Africa that's really allowing us to scale quickly. Mobile money services, the cellular network is really well built out. The governments have now made it 0% VAT and duty-free to import solar products. They have initiatives actually providing working capital for companies like ours. So we're really taking advantage of their efforts to support solar energy because they're not extending the grid. Still, 85% of the population does not have access to the grid.
So you mentioned the upfront payment for the system. $10 doesn't sound like a lot to us, but I know that in some countries, in some places, getting that money together in one bunch is difficult. How do you guys deal with that?
Yeah, exactly. So $10 is sort of the sweet spot that we found. It's not low enough that they're not making a conscious decision to purchase the product, but it's not high enough that we're basically excluding a large portion of the market. So $10 is what we found to be, it's doable. Yes, it's hard for some families, but we want them to make a conscious purchase decision when they acquire the unit, so they'll continue to pay back for energy over time.
And what's your cost on the $10 unit?
It's about $35, but again, our distribution partners are paying Angaza up front, so they're actually taking the financial risk. We just realize profit over time.
Yeah, what do you think your biggest challenge is going to be in growing this company? Is it the hardware component, the distribution component? Can you talk about that?
I think it's the customer education component because, I mean, most of these customers are already using mobile money platforms like M-Pesa, if you've heard of that. That's the biggest in Kenya right now. But there's a customer education element that's different from just an upfront solar light sale. There's a pay-as-you-go concept. There's an extra component of how to use the technology. So far, it's been catching on quickly, but someone's got to pay for that education. Someone's got to coordinate that education as you scale. So I think that's the biggest challenge.
And this is a terrific presentation. You did a great job. One question I have in terms of the difficulty of doing it, M-Pesa, people do use M-Pesas and other things, is this is a more difficult sell, correct? The idea, concept of getting people to use it. How do you expect investors to react to this?
Difficult sell for? It's
a more difficult sell of getting people using it than an M-Pesa or something. That's the way they're working. But do you expect investors, what do you expect from your investors, the kind of investors you want?
So it's an interesting question because we clearly have a social impact with every product we sell. You'll probably notice I didn't mention the health impact we have, the educational impact we have when we sell a solar light. We're really trying not to pigeonhole ourselves as just a social enterprise. I mean, this can be a hugely profitable business. We can monetize all this data we're getting back as an additional revenue stream. So we're looking for a mixture of investors who really get the technical side of the technology we're developing. We're looking for investors who have local knowledge of the markets we're selling in. But we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves just to impact investors, even though we love impact investors. So.
Great. Okay, thank you very much.
Very cool. Are you
sorry,
going
no,
to...
sorry. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Sorry to cut you off. That was what I wanted to get at. Next one we have is Be a Sport, a fitness platform built by Los Angeles native CEO Cheryl Kelland. I think that's correct. Be a Sport turns workout data into actionable insights and drives motivation through supportive community online during the workout. The first wearable solution is a GPS training device combining Wrist Coach and One Touch SOS Safety Alert for solo workouts. This is a big area, a lot of big players in this area. So let's go.
So this summer, in 5 weeks with zero marketing dollars, we had 2,100 amazing customers pay over $200 each to reserve our first product sight unseen. Since the beginning of the year, we've done an additional $10,000 a week of pre-sales for a total of actually what now is $470,000 of crowdfunding and pre-sales. Thank you. I think we might be onto something. My name is Cheryl Kelland, and my company, BIA, is building the first iconic fitness brand built around data and women. You can think of us as Lululemon for quantified self. Our customers are the 45 million women worldwide who work out 3 or more times a week, and their 90 million best friends who want to be just like them. Our market, the $10 billion self-tracking space for sports and fitness. And there's not any space I can think of that requires a gender-tuned solution like this space. If you've ever been to the start line of like a half marathon or a 10K on the weekend, what you'll see are all the guys up there like grunting and elbowing each other for position because they want to go out and race each other. The women, we're smiling and high-fiving, and don't be fooled. We are just as competitive, but we're out there to race with each other and compete against ourselves. Unfortunately, none of the fitness platforms out there sort of think the way we think. What we've got in the market right now is we've got a whole bunch of daily activity trackers, Fitbit, Fuel Band. They're super for getting you off the couch, but they're not going to get you to the start line of your first 10K. What happens in that space is you've got a ton of GPS tracking apps and a whole bunch of devices by Garmin and everyone else. But what those are really focused on are the mechanics of exercise, and they make sport a competition. They don't focus on the camaraderie, the community, and the personal transformation that's motivating our market. You've got motivation models focused on being king of the mountain or making you Captain Awesome. Yeah, whatever. So here's what we're doing at BIA. The heart of our solution is an online platform where we're using data to motivate you through your personal progress, where we're giving you coaching and advice insights with that data, and we're using it to make connections based on level and location. Our site was in private beta last year. We learned a ton. One of the things was we should launch it as mobile only, so we are in the process of doing that now. Our platform is device agnostic, so we're really excited because we look at it as a fabulous acquisition channel for our first wearable device, which is a GPS training watch. GPS watches give you real-time information on how fast you're going, how far you're going, how hard you're working. Right now, Garmin dominates this space with 80% market share, and they are so ready to be disrupted. We're disrupting them with the fact that we have an insane amount of knowledge on the target market they're not paying attention to. So first of all, our product is super stylish, small, and wicked simple to use because really no one has time for technology to get in their way. It's the only product on the market with an integrated cellular connection. It's really hard technology, but we needed it to address the #1 problem we heard from our market, which was our market wanted freedom and peace of mind. Turns out 70% of women have either changed their workout routine or have a loved one that wishes they would change their workout routine to avoid danger issues. So our watch comes with an integrated safety alert. If you're ever sort of out on your own, you get into trouble, you feel afraid, just push down the button for 3 seconds, and we send an alert with your location and information to your loved ones and emergency services. We're also disrupting the space with style and design. Anytime you put a piece of technology on your body, it stops being a gadget and starts being a reflection of your personal brand and the community you belong to. Our community exists in the real life, and when your data goes online, it connects you to one online as well. The way we make money, super simple. Every device we sell, we're going to be making $140 of margin, and then we have an additional services that will yield another $60 of margin a year through swappable watch bands and subscriptions for safety and real-time race training. The only thing better than our great customers is our team. I'm a late-in-life avid triathlete and a concept-to-launch expert. I've done over $1 billion in new products here in Silicon Valley. My co-founder is a pioneer of the online community space. Roger, Tim, and the guys have used GPS and GSM tracking to navigate the Mars rover, make Google Street View, a whole bunch of great stuff. Right now, we're out raising a $1.25 million seed round. We're doing it in 2 tranches, and the first part of that is 60% committed and closing at the beginning of March.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. You're very good. That was very enthusiastic. You kind of have to be enthusiastic if you're doing a sports thing, and in shape, too, right?
Exactly. I'm training for Ironman right now. Do you know that?
I'd really like to sleep. I wouldn't be good at selling this. Anyway, questions?
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm also a later in life athlete.
Yep, so you know
I did
everything.
2 half marathons, so I guess it counts as a full marathon.
That
Not
totally
sure.
does. Woo!
But I want one. Seriously, do you have it in beta? I mean, how can I buy one?
Yes, you can go buy one. You can pre-order one right now, and we'll have field test units at the beginning of March.
Excellent. Okay.
I love that.
So
we sold the watch today. Woo!
So I want to give you my card too, because I definitely am interested.
Excellent.
But so great job on presentation, and also great, very enthusiastic. It's very clear that you know the market. It's very clear that you can think as a user would think. So I think that's very important, as well as you've had, obviously the background.
To pull it off, yeah.
But realistically, though, what type of lead do you think you will have vis-a-vis the competition? Because there are already market incumbents out there.
Oh, absolutely.
So maybe could you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. So I think it's a great question because there's a ton of incumbents out there. No one is addressing the market the way we are. It's not in their DNA to do it. And even if they just took our product and copied it, the incumbents out there are actually pure hardware companies. Their DNA is hardware. Our DNA is actually online and community and software. And so while we're leading with a device, the real value over time is in that platform and in that community, building that community both to sell more of these devices as well as be the launching platform for future products.
How are people going to find out about you? What's your strategy?
Well, it seems to be working so far. Word of mouth is incredibly strong in this market. 30% of our initial customers belong to some team or some group. And these kind of people get together every weekend to run races or do training groups. So I think we're learning the mechanics of a more social word of mouth viral go-to-market, both with the device itself and with the online platform, because that spreads like any other online platform and recruits qualified leads to us.
Yeah, can I follow up on that? At the same time, Nike, you might have heard of them.
Oh, yeah.
And, sorry, this is not, I'm sorry, Nike and also Up has a lot of marketing around their devices. So.
Yep, so Up is not a direct competitor, different use case. Nike is a great example of a competitor, and Nike's also a great example of a marketing behemoth who's had smaller incumbents come in and take big chunks of their market with the same kind of grassroots approach. It's not that hard to make yoga pants, but Nike isn't the winner in that market right now. And there's a number of other places where that's happened before, so we're focusing on the same kind of dynamics.
Just a quick question. I read somewhere recently that there were about 40,000 health and wellness apps out there.
Good thing we're starting with a device so we can cut through that clutter, huh?
I know. So obviously there's, the other data point is that Americans are getting, fatter and lazier. So are you just going after people that are already athletes, or how are you kind of looking into and motivating other people?
That is a really great question. We chose to start with this market because these are the passionistas. These are the ones most vocal. These are the ones influencing their friends. So we definitely, see ourselves down the road having a wider range of devices, but we started with a place where we've got the users that'll bring the new users in. Our market, they might run, they might do triathlon, they don't look like athletes. So, be careful when you see someone and say, ooh, that person's athletic or not.
I thought it was a great presentation. It's really hard to create a true platform community based on a hardware device for a couple of reasons. One is all these incumbents, and other is that's just expensive too. The biggest question I have for you is, we've looked at a lot of these kind of companies, and we always suggest, rather than tiptoeing into the hardware space, try to build out 1 million of these products, flood the market, so you have an actual honest community of people that could be a core base, right? But it's very, very expensive, extremely expensive to do that. So how do you go about building massive distribution without having $50 million in the bank in order to do it?
Let's be careful when we say really expensive to do that, because we know what the business model is. So there's working capital up front that's required, but we know the margin as we sell those. And so I think there's just a different mentality to take with that. The way we do that is leverage the base we have and be in more places faster. If we're at every rock and roll marathon, you know how fast this thing is going to sell, because we've already seen it's viral once they're bought into it. So we just need to be in front of people.
It's more attractive than the other ones on the market. Most of them are butt ugly.
That was really hard, though.
Anyway, okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay. The next, by the way, we may be fat Americans, but we do have 40,000 apps. Just so, we might have 50,000. You think about it, at least, as we eat our Fritos. The next one is ENPLUG, co-founded by CEO, I'm going to mix this, Nancy, oh, thank you with the X, Lou, from LA. ENPLUG is a next-generation advertising in the physical world via billboards. With over 10,000 venues nationwide signed up, ENPLUG billboards are integrated with social media and operate in real time, using existing apps on your mobile device, such as Twitter, to engage. But not while driving, right?
Not while driving,
okay.
That's right. Hi, everyone. Inplug is building a network of interactive digital billboards for indoor. We're enabling brands to communicate with their customers in the physical world in real time. My name is Nancy, and I am the CEO and co-founder. This is the Inplug team sitting in our startup house's living room. We're composed of 8 engineers and 5 business developers. To give you a sense of our team, 2 of our engineers are 2 of the best in the country. They were on the founding team of Microsoft Azure. Our CFO is the MIT dropout and statistics genius. He dropped out of MIT to become a professional poker player and made millions of dollars by the time he was 18 years old. My background, before Inplug, I was founder and CEO of Nanoly Bioscience, a biotech company that was named one of NASA's top 10 new tech companies. And I also did investment banking at Goldman Sachs. All 13 of us lived together in one house in Los Angeles because we're passionate about the problem we're solving. You would think that in 2013, all of the billboards would be interactive. They would have real-time analytics. But in fact, they don't. $28 billion is wasted on outdoor advertising that don't have any interaction. We're changing that. Inplug is building a network of indoor billboards that allow users to use existing apps on their smartphone, like Twitter and Facebook, to interact with the screen. And we give real-time analytics to our advertisers. For example, our advertisers can have interactive content. Here's one where users can use Twitter to vote for what song they want to hear next. App developers can also create real-time games on our platform. Here's one we made for Red Bull. This means we've got the most versatile screen available for our advertisers in the physical world. We let advertisers do everything from having live discussions on our screens to having beautiful, vibrant, full-screen ads. We did a case study at the Los Angeles Auto Convention, putting our screen in front of thousands of attendees. We didn't give them any direction. Immediately, they started interacting with our screens, demonstrating how intuitive our platform is. Within 6 hours, we increased the AutoCon social media presence by 114% compared to their last auto convention. That's why we've been so successful in getting existing customers already, with over $500,000 in pre-orders, and it's only February. We have advertisers ranging from Hyundai to Red Bull and WPP, the world's largest ad agency. By July 2013, we'll be installing 500 of these billboards inside clubs, restaurants, and bars. They'll be in the lobbies or the most visible places in these venues. In fact, we've become so popular with our venues, now they have to apply to be part of our network. And it is frozen. All right, there we go. The venues were so excited. Our competitors range from the big players like Clear Channel and CBS, both multi-billion-dollar companies, demonstrating that this is a billion-dollar market. And we've also got smaller competition like Digicast and Captivate Media. Captivate Media are the screens that you see in the elevators. They've been around for 15 years and only have 1,000 locations. We'll reach that by the end of this year, putting Inplug in the top 50 largest display networks in the country. To advertise on our competitors' billboards, you have to plan at least half a year in advance. They don't give you any of the real-time analytics because, frankly, they're using the technology that's over 10 years old. We make it easy for our customers. We charge them a penny for every 15 seconds on the screen. All you have to do to put an ad is to log into Inplug.com, select the screens you want to show up on, upload your ad, and it'll deploy in real time. We'll deploy 1,000 billboards this year, and next year, we'll deploy 11,000 billboards. In fact, we've already got the 12,000 contracts in hand and signed. In 3 years, we'll be a direct threat to Clear Channel and CBS Outdoor. We've raised $800,000 from top investors, ranging from the president of Goldman Sachs Asia to the vice chairman of Interscope Records to Beyonce and Usher's agent and even Lady Gaga's manager. At the end of this month, we're looking to raise $200,000. In 8 months, we've been on the cover and the front page of Fast Company. We've been interviewed on CBS, Forbes, and Pando Daily. The reason that we want to race into this market as fast as we can is because the future of offline advertising is powered by Inplug. Thank you.
Terrific. Questions?
Sure. Okay. So nice presentation.
Thank you.
I like the enthusiasm. So again, my background is sales, and so I used to do this for a living, advertising sales for 16 years. So it's definitely a crowded market. I've seen a lot of people do what you're trying to do, although I do like the analytics piece is definitely intriguing to me. But can you talk about two things? The sales force and the manpower, or woman power, that it's going to take to get out there and to convince these big brands that your platform is really the platform amongst all the other things out there like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, et cetera. And then, you know, just from a technical perspective, these billboards go down. How are you servicing them? I'm really intrigued.
Great question. So I'll address the first one, which is getting sales. So we've already connected with WPP, and they've been streaming ads onto our system from day one. Our technology is software, and we're connected directly with WPP's platform, so we don't actually have to go directly to the brands. So we get these through the ad exchanges. And the other billboard companies, they can't do that because they're not built to be tech companies. They're built to be ad sales companies. We're built to be tech companies, directly connecting with all of the existing ad exchanges. So to address your point, your second question was, okay, so our billboards, it's all proprietary technology that we've developed, and we can actually see everything playing on our billboards in real time. We can even turn on and off our billboards. So everything is done remote. They're all connected to the internet. So if we ever need to update our software, it can be done remotely.
Can you talk I also come from an ad background, so can you talk a little bit about really what your addressable market is? Because I know quite a bit about Clear Channel, I know quite a bit about CBS Outdoor, but a lot of that money is against big static billboards, right? What is actually, and now you're talking about piping into ad exchanges, which is a very, very different business run by very, very different people. Like Clear Channel is old guys in suits, and sorry if anybody, but you know, it is. And the ad exchanges are like, not that, right? So very, very different customer base. What is actually the addressable market, and how does, you said something about pricing there, how does it compare to what's currently being bought, even in the digital outdoor market?
Absolutely. So what you have to think about is we're trying to transform advertising because it's the old model, because for you to actually put your content on a billboard, you have to plan at least half a year in advance, call the salespeople. So we're flipping that model. So we're going to we're basically the Google AdSense for the physical world, where you, whether you're a small customer or a local business or you're the major brands, you can use our platform. So to get into the sales more, so we went directly to brands like Red Bull and Hyundai. They immediately signed on board because it's exciting. They realize this is what offline advertising is going to be in the future.
Sorry to be so in the details, but I'm curious. So what about ad unit size? You know, that's another challenge, like we've seen in the past. You know, my experience at Google, you know, that was textual based, or, you know, could you talk, because you're introducing a new ad unit, you're basically forcing to change consumer behavior patterns.
And that goes to the pricing.
Or publisher behavior patterns, I should say.
So actually all of the publishers can use all of the existing ad inventory that they already have, so the ads they've created, and immediately stream it onto our screens. So for example, with Red Bull, they had us design a specific ad for them, and this is, we wouldn't be designing it in the future, but actually talking to the ad agencies, a lot of them jumped immediately on board. For example, our advisors include the former CEO of Saatchi & Saatchi Global and the former CEO of Ogilvy and Mathers, and they supported us because they realized that there needs to be change in this industry. And all of the brands are coming on board right now because everything's going digital. Nobody's going to be calling the sales representative 10 years from now.
Are they video ads? Or
it can be anything. People can even develop specific apps on our screen. So we have a SDK right now, and app developers are getting really excited about this, where they can create specific ads that advertisers can buy, kind of like a 99 Designs model.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have our last startup for this morning is Makers Row. It makes factory sourcing. That wasn't me. All right. Okay. All right. Let me try that again without the screech. It makes factory sourcing easy for designers and manufacturers. Tanya Menendez started Makers Row from Brooklyn, New York, to solve her previous business problems in sourcing factories. Makers Row holds the mission to make American manufacturing easy to access and simple to understand. Tanya.
Hi, I'm Tanya. This is Matthew, and we're Makers Row. Makers Row connects designers and small businesses with American manufacturers. Within small business, there's been great advancements in the way that we sell and market our products. What Shopify does for e-commerce, what Etsy does for handmade, and what Kickstarter does for fundraising, Makers Row is doing for manufacturing. Designers and small businesses have been finding American manufacturers through trade shows, word of mouth, and print catalogs. It's extremely inefficient, expensive, and it's a complete waste of time. You can spend months looking for a manufacturer with no success. And because of this, many aspiring entrepreneurs abandon hope, and many product concepts never even make it to prototype. And still, we have yet to disrupt how we actually make products. So with Makers Row, we're giving small businesses the same information and access that large businesses have traditionally guarded. We break down the manufacturing process into 6 steps so that you can have an idea and take it all the way to production. This has never been done before. We've categorized all of our manufacturers based on the 6 steps so that entrepreneurs can quickly find a manufacturer or use it as a process to create their product. It's easy to imagine that one product comes from one factory, but it's always a network of factories that create a product. So for instance, on our homepage, you can see this example. If you wanted to create a wallet, you can start off with a sketch, and on Makers Row, you can find manufacturing partners to take your idea and turn it into a product. We also humanize the making process by going behind the scenes and taking facility photos and images and videos so that entrepreneurs can get a behind-the-scenes look of what it takes to create a product. This type of granular information allows designers to be able to quickly and efficiently know who to work with and why. We launched in November, and since then, we've had over 1,000 manufacturers in the system. 350 signed themselves up and created their own factory profiles and started editing it themselves. 4,000 designers have started actually signing up to the site and contacting manufacturers through Makers Row. And over 17,000 connections have been made through our platform. And this is something that's working. These are success stories. So Roberto was able to start his Kickstarter campaign because he found a manufacturer on Makers Row and is now making his dream come true of starting his own jean line in Tampa, Florida. And Jasmine, she was previously sourcing everything overseas. And now with her new handbag line, she's starting to reshore and producing her new handbag line in the United States. And Nicole, she inherited her father's manufacturing facility. And she joined Makers Row. And since then, she's gotten so many new sales inquiries that she's hiring in order to keep up with the sales coming in from Makers Row. And there's hundreds of thousands of manufacturers in the United States and millions of opportunities to create products locally and in the United States. The US produces 18% of the world's goods, and we're still the #1 manufacturer globally. But without Makers Row, it's easier to find a manufacturer on the other side of the globe than it is to find one in your own backyard. And you see, as costs are rising overseas and as speed to market are becoming more important for businesses, companies like GE and Apple are reshoring. But most small businesses aren't like GE and Apple. They're like Jasmine and they're like Roberto. And for them, we're breaking down the barriers to entry in order to create products within the United States. And we're giving them choices, information, and power. But this is only the beginning. We started off in apparel. And next, we're going into 6 other industries and also adding more features so that manufacturers and so that designers are able to create products in a more automated fashion. Everything from the chair that you're sitting in to the makeup you put on this morning, small businesses will be able to create through Makers Row. We are creating this for the American designers, entrepreneurs, and visionaries of tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is really great. I like this quite a bit. So a few questions. First is, can you talk a little bit more about the market, the addressable market, in terms of the designers, how big you think that is, and then also, how do you guys make money?
Yeah, so in terms of the market, in the manufacturing space, it's in the trillions, and especially just within the United States. Los Angeles alone is a $200 billion market, and designers are spending trillions of dollars on their manufacturing, both overseas and domestically. And so the way that we're making money, initially right now we're doing a subscription fee But what we're raising to build is an online shopping cart so that people would be able to buy raw materials such as blank t-shirts, buttons, and things like that, and then an invoice processing system so that we're able to capture the transactions through Maker's Row.
So are you mostly, I'm still a little unclear exactly on how the service works, so are you merely in the business of connecting people with suppliers, surfacing suppliers they could choose from, giving those suppliers more visibility online? I'm still having a hard time understanding exactly how it works.
Yeah, so right now it's discovery. So designers are able to discover manufacturers. The second phase of Maker's Row will be actual transactions going through Maker's Row. And really, for both sides, that value is providing the security. And because for designers, it's risky that they're paying for goods that they're not satisfied with. And for manufacturers, it's risky because a lot of the times they don't get paid by designers. And so by providing a safe platform for both sides, it's creating a lot of value.
So so then it's a marketplace, and
Yeah.
how do you intend to sort of build both sides, especially in terms of this, if what you're offering, if your brand is going to be about security, I know I'm going to get I know I'm going to get paid if I make it, and I know if I order it, it's going to be good. How do you intend to fulfill that on that promise?
Yeah, so what we're doing is, for the first, while we start the online ordering system, we're testing it with a group of manufacturers that we trust. But there's also reviews, and manufacturers are able to, it'll be an escrow type of service where you would be able to approve a payment before it goes out.
And also, there's a lot of delayed payments with manufacturing. You're paying about 30% up front, and then 70% once you receive the goods. And then some relationships will enable you to pay net 30 after everything is done, and there's so many different types of ways that designers are paying for goods right now.
And we're currently getting, both sides have expressed a lot of interest in having this type of platform because manufacturers have told us, like, we're not good at charging people, we're not good at invoicing and collecting payments, and so they really want the system. And designers want a safe system in order to try out new manufacturers and be able to pay all in one platform.
And we're already partnering with trade shows, and all the major design schools, we're speaking to their students because they are potential users as they want to create real products, not just mock products that they learned in class. And also trade shows that we're partnering with a number of different regional trade shows where they have regional and seasonal physical locations, but they want an online presence, and so we're partnering with them to get their manufacturers on board.
So this is kind of like a U.S. Alibaba kind of company, right? And what we learned with Alibaba was, they had to cater a bit to customer acquisition, but ultimately your entire back-end business, all the services are really about the supplier side, right? It's all about how can you make the manufacturers actually happy, understand they trust that the orders they're getting in are actually real people and real things that they have to deal with. So at the same time, the big question is, once you sign up some of these suppliers, how do you ensure that they're actually good quality suppliers, that they're actually doing what they say they're going to do? I mean, the top 1 or 2% of manufacturers are at 110% capacity as it is, and so you already have a selection bias of less than the best. So how do you know that they're very good?
It depends on how you classify best of the best. A lot of the large facilities like Cone Denim, they produce denim for Levi's for a number of years right now, and they're definitely not at capacity. They're supplying denim for the Black & Denim brand that you just heard of, so they're reaching out to small businesses right now, and they want to be able to cater to small businesses because there are so many more of them. A number of the factories that we've gone to right now, they would pass up opportunities from big brands like Coach in order to work with a number of different small brands and have a more solid, revenue stream from a number of small businesses.
Yeah, and Alibaba had scam issues because they were overseas. All of our manufacturers are within the United States, and so that gives entrepreneurs more security and to know that they're actually able to press legal charges. And
so maybe it's similar to how how Airbnb takes photos, professional photos. Maybe you can do something like that goes way beyond the capacity of current manufacturers, taking photos of production in process, helping customers actually understand that their products are being made at a quality level that they would never have with direct relationships.
Yeah, that, and there's also many existing certifications, like platforms that we can use to integrate as well.
Great, terrific. It's actually very common too. It's like Airbnb, Odesk. There's all kinds of these, even Seamless going on. People are very familiar with these. It's almost middleman, but it's a little bit more helpful than that. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you also to the terrific judges. Give them a round of applause. These were all super interesting companies. I see a lot of I go to a lot of launch conferences, stuff like that, and all of them are very different and very interesting in and of themselves and very provable in many ways. A lot of really terrific startups. So we'll see some more later. Thank you very much. Now you may leave. So.